Carolina Hurricanes on Thursday head to the Shark Tank to take on the San Jose Sharks. Now, some places might let you pet the Sharks, but what about hitting them? That's the real question.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hawkers. Also do some AHL coverage over at the Calder Times. Even doing some baseball coverage at Covering the Corner. Also, I am the co-host of the Searchcast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a terrific Thursday edition of the podcast. As like I said, we will be previewing the Carolina Hurricanes' first game in California against the San Jose Sharks in San Jose, obviously at the Shark Tank. We also do get some updates on Andrei Svechnikov and Dmitry Orlov going into that weekend, that span of 3 games in 4 days, and then what are going to be the keys to the game for the Carolina Hurricanes. But before we jump into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Now, I know earlier in the week we did have some updates on Andrei Svechnikov and Dmitry Orlov, but we're not sure how they were looking at going into the trip. And I said if both guys come back, I think this is what the lineup should probably look like in terms of, if Andrei Svechnikov comes back, what are the forward lines, what I think they should be. And then if Dmitry Orlov is back, how's that look like for the defense? Did he put him back in over a guy like Scott Morrow who's been playing really well? But so we did get an update after the practice on Thursday with Rod Burnmore saying that he assumes that Dmitry Orlov is good to go for the Hurricanes on their 3-game road trip against the Sharks on Thursday night. But this is the real kicker. He is still not sure if Andrei Svechnikov will travel or not with the team. As of right now, we've really had no other updates about if Andrei did go with the guys. We're not 100% sure on that, but if that is the case, even if he does travel with the team, what did the lines look like? Well, during practice on Wednesday, Andrei Svechnikov was part of the group, but he was in a no-contact jersey. So he probably still went with the team possibly, but he might be a healthy scratch, or not really a healthy scratch from the game due to an upper body injury, or it could be he could just not went with the team at all, but there's a possibility we might see him in the weekend back-to-back most likely. But so here were the lines from practice. You got Seth Jarvis with Sebastian Aho and Jackson Blake. Then you got Taylor Hall with Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Jack Roslovic. Martin Uxtal, Stankoven, and then it's Robinson, Jankowski, and Jost with Andrei kind of swapping in back and forth. But if you take out Svechnikov, your fourth line is probably going to be Robinson, Jankowski, and Jost, which is not a bad fourth line at all. Defense pairings, Slavin Burns, Gostisbehere, Orlov, Chatfield, Walker with Scott Morrow filling in. So that's very interesting. We look at a Gostisbehere, Orlov and not Gostisbehere with Walker. But, of course, these are subject to change just because, this is just a practice, grouping. Maybe they're going back to the normal defensive pairings. Who really knows? And, of course, they net Anderson and Kochetkov. But as Walt Ruff always says, do not read into who's in the starter's crease on a non-game day. So with that being said, do you still put Orlov in over Scott Morrow? And for me, it's like, well, if he's assumed to be good to go, I would still play Scott Morrow over Dmitry Orlov because Morrow has been playing very, very well with Orlov being out. Like, he's been playing really great with Sean Walker. And I said it in the other show when we were kind of, looking at lines and getting some updates. Like, do you really want to mess with the mojo, the feng shui, the positive vibes, whatever you want to put on it? Do you really want to change that for putting Orlov back? And then nothing against Orlov. I mean, he's been playing well with the team over the last year and some change, but as I said, like they do in Bull Durham, you don't mess with the winning streak. And right now, the Hurricanes are on a 7-game winning streak. Yeah, you're paying Orlov $7.75 million, but if he's assumed to be okay to go, but not really, I would say just give him the extra day off and let Morrow play against the Sharks with Sean Walker and then reevaluate Friday and then go into the back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. Like, what's the extra harm of giving Orlov another day off and let Morrow go against the Sharks and see what happens? Do the Hurricanes go get their 8th string? Do you keep running with it? Or be like, okay, we got Orlov back. Let's get him in for the weekend. Maybe he plays against the Kings. Who really knows? But for me, it's just like, I think Scott Morrow is given a lot of reason to stay in the lineup. So I don't know why they would take him out, but obviously it's above my pay grade. I'm just a guy who's on a podcast, talk about the Carolina Hurricanes and also writes about them as well. So what do I really know? But I mean, obviously trust in Rod, trust in Tim Gleason and the rest of the coaching staff. So if they do put him in, then okay, let's see how it goes. But if you ask me, I wouldn't mess with what's going on there. You keep Scott Morrow in. You give Orlov an extra day off if he's still not really 100% ready to go. But who really knows? But definitely be interested to see. But it stinks for Andrei, though, because, he gets an upper body injury. He finishes the game, but he's missed the last few. Now it's a question of, does he stay in Raleigh? Does he go with the team to California? And if he does go with the team to California, do you not see him for the Shark game? And then it's, okay, will he be back for Saturday's game against the Kings? Or is he ready to go for the Ducks game on Sunday? Or does he just go and maybe see if he's ready? And if not, does he just stay in the press box and flies back with the team after the trip? Who really knows? So that's definitely a big question mark of, what's going on with Andrei. It stinks that he's out. It's just, the worst time for him to get injured once again is right after the trade deadline. Hopefully it's not super serious, but all we know is his upper body. That's really about it. We don't know. Obviously, because teams don't really have to give an exact reason, but it's just one of those things where it looked like he was in discomfort, finished the game, and next thing you know, he's missed the last few. So I'm not really sure. But if you look at overall just the lines that we're possibly going to be seeing, still not bad when you got Blake with Aho and Jarvis. Those three have been playing really well together. I mean, that line of Roslovic, Kotkaniemi, and Hall, it is a insanely it's a very underrated second line, just how good they've been playing together, especially Kotkaniemi and Hall. And I mean, you got Stankoven with the Jordans. You got a guy who's 5'8", who's a bulldog with 2 brick houses and skyscrapers. They basically just can beat you to death. And then you got Jost with his good speed, Robinson with his underrated speed, who's a speedy guy. Then you got 6'4" Mark Jankowski. I mean, hello, this guy's on fire right now. 4 goals on 4 shots, 100%. Like, have yourself a heater, Mark Jankowski coming back in. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the Hurricanes play against the Sharks. I'm really looking forward to it because it's their trip out to California. They've played these teams already this season. You're kind of wrapping up the California teams. This is all three of these games are going to be the second game of the 2 games that they play against each other. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the Hurricanes do. I know for Wednesday's show, I predicted the Hurricanes will beat the Sharks, hopefully beats the Kings, but maybe lose in overtime and then to beat the Ducks. So you're talking 5 or 6 points in these 3 games. And obviously you can't worry about Saturday and Sunday's games without worrying about what's going to happen on Thursday. And of course, Thursday they take on the San Jose Sharks. And they've already beaten them before. They beat them back on December 10th, 3-2 back in Carolina. But now this is the second time and the last time they get to face these guys. And of course, this is the only Canes After Dark game for a 10:30 p.m. start. So we are going to preview it. And when we do preview it, how about you stick around as we will do that here in a second on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes.
Did you know getting a good night's sleep is the #1 recipe for long-term success in life? I didn't. It took me way longer to realize than I'd like to admit. It was years of tossing and turning. I was always tired. I never felt like I could live up to my potential, but not anymore. Thanks to Bear Mattress. I used their sleep quiz and I matched with the Elite Hybrid. It's perfect for side sleepers like me. Now I wake up energized. I'm getting deeper sleeps and I'm ready to attack the day. No matter how you sleep, Bear Mattress has a match for you with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout for 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And like I said at the end of segment 1, let's preview the Carolina Hurricanes against the San Jose Sharks. Carolina 41-22-4 coming into this game against the 18-41-9 Sharks. As I mentioned, also back in segment 1, the Hurricanes beat them 3-2 back on December 10th in Carolina. Over the last 5 games, Sebastian Aho leads the team in points with 5 and 3 assists, and Mark Jankowski with 4 goals. Have yourself a start to your Carolina Hurricanes career, Jenko. Now, for the Sharks, obviously Macklin Celebrini is the guy for them right now. 5 points in 5 games, 3 of those being assists, and then Colin Graf with 3 goals. Now, I also mentioned in the semi-ish preview, the Sharks' power play and penalty kill are both in the bottom half of the league. 22nd on the power play, 19.8, 26th at 74.2% of the penalty kill. However, the Carolina Hurricanes do somehow have a worse power play than the San Jose Sharks, 18.1%, putting them 26. Oof, Maroons, that's bad. It'll definitely be interesting if we do see some special teams work where you have the 26 power play against the 26 penalty kill. But the one thing the Carolina Hurricanes got, in favor for them, how about the number 1 penalty kill once again in the league, back at 84.5%? If you're going against the 22nd power play, you should be feeling pretty good about yourselves as you're the penalty killers, or as you say, the power killers, because somehow the Hurricanes are always good to score goals shorthanded. I mean, heck, they got 6 of them already. Why not get some more in? Face-off wise, the Hurricanes are 5th at 52.5% compared to the Sharks at 48.4%. Now, this could really be in the favor of the Carolina Hurricanes when it comes to goals for and goals against, where Hurricanes are 8th in scoring, 3.24, while the Sharks are 32nd at giving up 3.69 goals per game. They are dead last in the league. They give up a lot of goals, well over almost 3.7 goals per game. Now, on the flip side, the Sharks are 30th in goals for at 2.6, while the Hurricanes only give up 2.63 on average, puts them 5th in the league. So you're talking about one of the premier shutdown teams going against one of the teams who, frankly, have a hard time scoring. So the fact that the Hurricanes give up only 2.63 per game, while the Sharks only score, on average, 2.6 a game. Now, in their last 10, big difference between these two teams. How about the Carolina Hurricanes on a 7-game winning streak, 8-2-0 in their last 10? Obviously lost to Montreal and Edmonton, did beat Buffalo, but then they've ripped off the last 7. Winning in overtime against Calgary, being Detroit, Boston, Winnipeg, Tampa, Detroit again, and Philadelphia. I mean, have yourself a run, Carolina. Unfortunately for the Sharks, while they did have back-to-back wins against Toronto and Buffalo, of course, the Toronto game was in a shootout, and they beat the Blackhawks, they've also lost a bunch of games too. They are 3-5-2 in their last 10 with 2 3-game losing streaks in this last 10. Of course, our last game they played the Washington Capitals, getting another loss. Now, looking at the goaltenders, Pierre Kachekov, 25-11-3, still racking up the wins to bump his best career high win total on the season. 2.37 goals against, a 908 save percentage in that game against Philadelphia. Well, how about he gets a 5-0 shutout victory for his second shutout of the season, only 2 away from tying last year's total. Frederick Anderson, 9-5-0 with the 2.15 goals against average, a 912 save percentage in a shootout. Now, for the Hurricanes, I know we saw them play against Philadelphia this past Saturday in the second half of a back-to-back. Now, for the Kings, this is where it's going to get very interesting in terms of goaltending, because do you go back to Kochekov again in this game against the Sharks, or do you go with Frederick Anderson to keep the swap off they've been doing recently too, because whoever plays obviously against the Sharks is going to get the start against the LA Kings on Saturday, and then the guy who plays on Thursday is going to play the second half, the back-to-back against Anaheim. So if I'm reading the tea leaves and reading how this swap system has been going for the Hurricanes as of late, you're going to see Frederik Andersen in net against the Sharks, and then you're going to have Peter Kochetkov going against the Kings, which obviously right now, if Peter Kochetkov is, I know Freddie is 3-1 in his last 4 starts, and Peter Kochetkov is on a blistering pace right now. I would say you definitely go with Freddie against the Sharks. You throw against a very hot Peter Kochetkov against the LA Kings, because you know that's going to be a dogfight with the team who's third in the Pacific, who are fighting for their lives to, they want to distance themselves from Vancouver for the wild card spot, because Vancouver's right there in the WC2 spot. But they also want to catch the Vegas Golden Knights, who lead the Pacific. So, they're going to be going all out to try to get their points. So if I'm the Canes, if they're doing that swap off, you have to go with Freddie Thursday, and you go with Pierre Kochetkov on Saturday, then back to Freddie on Sunday. So obviously, don't be surprised if we see Frederik Andersen for the Hurricanes. Now, on the flip side of things, obviously you got Alexander Georgiev, 13-23-1 with a 3.64 goals against average and an 8.75 save percentage. Now they have Georgi Romanov, who just came up, but he has no wins, no losses, no overtime. He's only played a game. He's got 3 goals against average and an 8.18 save percentage. I would say it's probably going to be Alexander Georgiev, former Colorado Avalanche. I think he's probably going to get the start more than anything else against the Carolina Hurricanes. This should be a game where the Hurricanes should definitely win in the goaltending department, when you have 2 goalies sub 2.4 goals against, and both Sharks goalies are over 3, and Georgiev being their main guy, a 3.64 goals against, and an 8.75 save percentage with a 13-23-1. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk, but this should definitely be a game where the Carolina Hurricanes should go in and take care of business. So it will definitely be very interesting how that plays out. Now, who are the players that we need to keep an eye on in this game? Obviously, for the Sharks, it's a no-brainer. Macklin Celebrini, 50 points in 56 games, 21 goals, 29 assists, 19 minutes and 48 seconds. He has 196 shots, which leads the entire Shark team, only 6 more than Tyler Toffoli. However, though, a minus 27 for Macklin Celebrini. Of course, you really can't blame the kid. I mean, come on. He's on the worst team in the NHL. He's going to get a lot of ice time, obviously. I mean, he leads, 1948. The only guy that's ahead of him in time on ice is, Ferraro at 21-10. So, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to get lit up a lot as a kid, especially when you're a rookie on a very bad Sharks team. Obviously, Tyler Toffoli, 25 goals, 45 points in 65 games, 190 shots. Definitely one to keep an eye on. I mean, defense-wise, I mean, the only guy you can maybe look at is maybe Timothy Liljegren, who's a minus 18. I don't know. I mean, if you're looking for someone else to keep an eye on in this game, you would have to almost go back to Will Smith, another rookie, 35 points in 60 games, 13 goals. I say it's really about it. You could say, William Eklund is another guy, 49 points. So that's kind of what you're looking at. But I would say this is another – it'll be very interesting, because you have former Chicago Wolves head coach Ryan Rosowski is the Sharks coach right now. Of course, he was the coach that led the Chicago Wolves to the 2022 Calder Cup championship. So that'll be very interesting, the fact that you got a former – coach inside the Hurricane system is now the head coach for the Sharks, and he's going against the Carolina Hurricanes this season. Now, on the flip side of things, who are the players to watch for the Carolina Hurricanes? Obviously, Sebastian Aho, 64 points in 66 games. Seth Jarvis, absolutely lighting the world on fire right now. 26 goals in 60 games played. He's only 4 goals shy of hitting 30 for the second time in a row, and he's only 9 points shy of hitting 60 for the second year in a row. So right now we're definitely on 30-goal, 60-point watch for Seth Jarvis. Obviously, Sebastian Aho on pace to get 70 points. I would say keep an eye on Mark Jankowski. He's been an absolute fire for the Hurricanes. He's already tied his goal total in 4 games with the Carolina Hurricanes that he did most of the season with the Nashville Predators. 8 goals, 13 points. He's 4 for 4 right now. Definitely keep an eye on him for sure. And of course, Brent Burns playing his former team, 23 points in 67 games. You're hoping to see maybe he gets a little bit of revenge for Brent Burns against these San Jose Sharks. So that should be definitely interesting to keep an eye on for sure. So we talked about goaltending matchups. We talked about last 10, tail of the tape, guys to keep an eye on. But what are the keys to the game for the Carolina Hurricanes to get their win against the San Jose Sharks? So stick around as I'll do that here in a second on a Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beers to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. So visit FanDuel.com and get on the college hoops action all tournament long.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So like I said at the end of segment 2, what are the keys to the game for the Carolina Hurricanes? And obviously, it's a no-brainer. It's kind of a cliche answer, but 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey. We've been seeing it since the first Detroit game. We kind of saw against Boston, but then right after that, the Jets, Tampa Bay, Detroit again, and even against the Philadelphia Flyers. You've been seeing 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey. And when you're facing up the San Jose Sharks, which I said, it's not a slam dunk. Anyone can beat anyone, but this is a game where you go into the Shark Tank. You play 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey right from the rip, silence the barn, put your will on this team, and you're walking away with an 8-game winning streak. I mean, when you look at the goals for and goals against, if you put on your foot on the gas and keep it down, you're talking about a team who gives up almost 3.7 goals per game, dead last in the league, minus 77 goal differential. The Hurricanes score over 3.2. This is where you put your will on the Sharks and jump on them early, keep your foot on the gas, and never let them back in this game. And obviously, you know how to shut them down. 2.6 goals allowed per game. The Sharks only score 2.6 goals a game on average. So this is definitely where you could set your will, set the tempo, set the pace against the Sharks. Plus 2. We'll put you at 500, put you at 15-15 and 1 on the road. I'm just saying, this is where you get back to 500 hockey on the road. Obviously, special teams, once again, it's going to be the very big deciding factor because you're talking about the 26 penalty kill on the Sharks against the 26 power play on the Hurricanes. If there's a game the Hurricanes definitely need a power play to get clicking, it's on this one. Yes, I know your power play is worse than the Sharks, but Sharks penalty kill, not that great. If you at least get a couple chances, you have to capitalize on them and win the special teams battle. This will be a very big one that could hopefully jumpstart the power play because going into the playoffs, the thing that really matters the most is, are you winning on the road and is your power play clicking? This is the game where you see, okay, we got 3 games in California. We have to go and prove that we are a team that can win on the road and we can jumpstart this power play because it's very hard in the playoffs to win games if you can't win on the road and if your power play is not that good. So this is the perfect time for the power play to really kick it into gear. Like I said, for the penalty kill, they're first in the NHL. Going against the 22nd power play, you should easily shut these guys down and force your will there. And hey, how about another power kill goal? Because why not? The Hurricanes love scoring shorthanded. Why not keep that trend going? So, like I said, 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey right from the rip, win the special teams battle. Shut them out. However many, how many penalty kills you go on, shut them out from all of them. Maybe get a power play. You maybe get a penalty kill goal, and then on the power play, at least score 1. If you get an opportunity, at least score 1. Jumpstart the power play because that'll definitely be a big factor going into the playoffs. Now, what's my third key to the game? Because we were talking about full 60. We've already talked about the power play, penalty kill, making the special teams battle work. I think for this one is don't overlook the Sharks. Because, okay, yeah, you're facing the worst team in the NHL right now, record-wise. They only got 18 wins. You know, you got the Kings on Saturday. You got the Ducks on Sunday. This is a game where you do not play down to the Sharks level. Do not overestimate this team because, like I said, yes, they're dead last, but they've won 18 games for a reason. Every team has guys who can score goals. You got Toffoli, you got Will Smith, you got Eklund, and you also got Macklin celebrating. Do not overestimate the Sharks. Do not just look at them as, oh, okay, well, you can just go into the Shark tank and automatically just get a win. That's just not how it works. It's not an easy 2 points anymore with any team. So this is where, yes, you have a back-to-back over the weekend, but you have to worry about Thursday night, and you got to take care of business against the Sharks. Says the last thing you want to do is have your winning streak snapped by the worst team in the NHL, because this is where you have to, because your division is going to be hard to catch up and win on, but you can separate yourself against the New Jersey Devils, who have been struggling. You can distance yourself on the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are in a wild card spot. So this is a game where you have to, yes, you've had the last 4 days off. You had an optional skate Monday. You had an optional skate Tuesday. You practice Wednesday morning before flying out to California in the afternoon. But this is where, if you're the Carolina Hurricanes, do not overlook the Sharks and do not play down to their level. This is where you have to come into this game. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Like I said, this ties into the 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey right from the rip. Do not have a slow start. Do not play down to their level. This is where you go into the Shark Tank. Force your will on this team. Force the tempo. Force the physicality. Force the opportunities. Shut them down. Do your thing. Get in, get out, get the win. That's all that matters if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. So like I said, my 3 keys to the game for the Carolina Hurricanes to win this one: full 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey right from the jump. Silence that barn. Keep your foot on the gas the entire game. Key number 2, special teams. Shut them down on the penalty kill. You have the best PK in the league. Show why you have the best penalty kill in the league against the 22nd power play. Special teams. Yes, you're 26, which is worse than the Sharks, but this is a game where you can show that you can score on power play goals because you're going to need it for the playoffs. That's a big key because, like I said, winning on the road and scoring power play goals is going to be very huge when it comes to the playoffs, especially if you're playing the Devils, the Capitals, Panthers, Lightning, Toronto. It doesn't matter. Those are going to be big factors. And like I said, key number 3, do not overlook the Sharks. Do not play down to the level. Don't just come complacent thinking it's going to be an automatic 2 points and you're good to go. No. This ties back into key point 1. 60 minutes of Hurricanes hockey. Do what you need to do. Get in, get out, get the win. You're on an 8-game winning streak going into the weekend against the Kings and the Ducks. Yes, the Sharks are the worst team in the NHL right now in terms of points, but do not overlook them. Anyone can beat anyone. It has been proven. Like I said, the Sharks have won 18 games for a reason. They have a bunch of guys over there who are NHLers who get paid like them, and they can score goals. So, like I said, just go in there, do your job, play 60 minutes, play your game, get in, get out, get the win, and that's all said and done. But guys, talk about being all said and done. This weekend of the Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making your first listen of the day. If you're a second listen, well, why don't you go check out Locked On NHL Podcast, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to keep up with me, I'm OneTrueZach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin, where I do have link trees in my bios where you can check out all my articles at thehockeywriters.com when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes. For AHL coverage, well, it's theColorTimes.com. Let's say you do want to check out some of my baseball coverage I've been doing recently. Well, it is coveringthecorner.com, talking about the Cleveland Guardians. If you also want to check out my other podcasts, well, it's the SurgeCast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For this show, well, it's Locked On Hurricanes on Google, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and review because I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, well, it's Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit me with the thumbs up to let me know if you like the show as well. Share with all other Caniacs who become everydayers just like you. But I hope everyone enjoyed the Thursday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Hope everyone has a great Thursday. And make sure to get your energy drinks, get your coffee, get all your snacks, whatever you need. Get yourself a nap and like Seth Jarvis because it's going to be a very late game for your Canes After Dark for a 10:30 start in San Jose against the San Jose Sharks. But Until next time, as always, let's go Canes.